Anyway, next we have here is how Uber and Lyft is doing really well in terms of increased demand of their services, but with one small problem: they don't have enough drivers to 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 provide those services. So, according to this article, more than half of Uber and Lyft drivers have stopped driving during the pandemic, which is reasonable. But in this current year, that number is far from recovered. So, meaning there's no one enticed, encouraged to pursue this gig economy or providing lift sharing services here. And according to businessinsider.com, mentioned Uber and Lyft's demand from rider has reached or even surpassed pre-pandemic levels. But the issue here is no one is taking the bite in a sense, or no one's biting in terms of who's going to drive you from one place to another. Now, obviously, one of the main issue here is where was it? There you go. It mentions the safety factor. If obviously, if I'm a driver, why would I risk my life, you know, driving people from one place to another if I'm not guaranteed in terms of health benefits, protective gear or equipment, whatever, right? So to feel comfortable to be able to provide the service that I was able to do pre-pandemic, right? Anyway, so as the numbers have showed, the number of drivers on the road for Uber and Lyft in the United States was over 35% lower than where it was January last year. And according to the data here, so let's take a closer look. So you'll be pretty alarmed and surprised what you see here. So as mentioned here, so pre-pandemic, there's already a decline there after the pandemic, and all the way to the present, it's still in the negative, right? Meaning, there is a demand, but people are not, considering this as a viable option of source of income. So question is, what would the company do here if you're, Uber or Lyft here? So it just highlights how the situation is. So it gives a sense of how much the work the company needs to improve to get up to fully meeting the requirements of the market. And as you can see here, there's still less than 2/3 the number of pre-pandemic drivers that are driving. So even if there's a supply, there's a demand, but there's no supply. Maybe the company has to charge more to be able, or unless the company spend big to lure drivers back. So question is, how are they going to convince those drivers who seem that obviously the pandemic, the COVID-19 issue is their their primary issue here. How can the company guarantee the safety here? And obviously, if I win their place, I will not be so inclined to go back to driving other people, right? So obviously, Uber and Lyft as the company has mentioned that they have launched high-priced public campaigns. Now, campaign is one thing, but offering drivers incentive is another. I think increasing salary is another one, or the per hour rate that they get, or maybe the share, give them a more substantial one compared to previous one. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to take further risk. And what they mentioned is short-term offers to pick up more passengers. So again, it gives more advantage for the company, but not so much for the drivers here. So unless they change that dynamic, the trend's not going to change anytime soon here. And obviously, for the driver, they reveal that their worries and concerns are they always keep coming back from the key safety of getting infected or infecting other people. Obviously, it has been a source of reliable income for many people, especially as a part-time gig worker. So, obviously, the companies has to give this some consideration and find ways to ensure that their drivers will be taken care and they will receive good substantial money. Otherwise, it won't make sense to help them either way. And obviously, the numbers don't lie. So until they do something drastic, that's not going to change anytime soon. And others are already abandoning the platform. As you can see, the flow of the ebb and flow of the demand, especially with the ongoing pandemic here. So as drivership has declined, but the company sees a quick recovery in the demand, mean squat if you don't have people to bring those people to different places here. So it mentions that they have more bookings in March than they had in previous history. So that's good in a sense, but again, you don't take advantage of it, it's still an opportunity loss. So high demand is always good to have, but the problem is how you meet the demand is another problem. So supply is always just one of the issue. It should be main issue that they should be concerned here with.